Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dogs and cats, elves and zebras, gypsies and the sheep. The wifey and me were down in the basement cleaning. If you went down there, you might think, well, you didn't get much done, but in reality we did, because we're not just taking what we have and moving it to another location. We're actually going through each box. Some things we can consolidate. Some things are already fine. Other things can be thrown away. Other things can be sold or given away. Other things can be kept and stored. Other things can be kept and brought up here. Actually, see, what did I find? I only put a few things in my pocket. Found this. Guess I can use that as a roach clip. A pink lighter that's probably been down there for 3 or 4 years, but it works. This was Carolyn's. I haven't put my glasses on. This is probably Canadian or English. It looks like the Queen's head. And all I can say is Truckee our law. Okay. Okay, and that's I think that's a lead ball from my rifle, but I can't shoot it because I can't get it put together. Lucky, he says, I can't see too well, but I sure have a good sniffer.
Honey, after you do that, you need to find us some dinner.
Okay.
Please.
And I found this.
We're going to get this floor. So if he comes into the wall. I'm sorry. Okay. I can't see floor thing. Oh, this is driving me crazy just like that. You know that?
Yeah, I knocked the light down last night, people. The one over the sink, and I haven't put it back up. But, now, what was I going to say? Cat. Yes, first, no. Lisa did say you were worried, so, that's one reason I made yesterday's video. Sorry if I'm huffing and puffing, but we were working down there. We've been working in the apartment and in the basement. And, I tell you what, after that clean out that we did, a couple of years ago or so, I'm surprised there's still stuff to get rid of. Isn't that amazing? Anyway,
Honey, there's some little bit of ice in here if you want it.
Okay.
Put it back in for right now.
Here, you can put it in here. Kat, if you want to take a trip up here, here's what I was thinking.
I did wash my hands, okay?
I'm not worried about it.
I am.
If
I can't fill this up right now, though. We've got
Okay.
too much stuff in front of the sink.
Okay.
Stinky. So we need it filled up.
Yeah, I could cover one.
You can't do it till after Christmas.
What? I know.
She don't want to come in the wintertime anyway.
Yeah, you don't want to come up here in the winter, hon. You don't. You might think you do, but
No, she might not even get up here.
yeah.
Honey, you will have to look for something to do.
Okay, hon. Hold on.
Not right now.
I know, hon.
But I'm hungry.
A year or two before I moved to New Hampshire. Back then, I was still on Facebook, and
You need to go back.
well, hon, I'm trying to make this video.
Yeah, fine.
I was connected with a bunch of Free Staters and other people like that, and I have nothing to do with those people anymore. I actually don't support them anymore. I actually oppose them.
wish you kept this stuff.
And anyway, there were people commenting that, you know, they had like come up here to visit, to see somebody, to whatever, and some people made it here, but they couldn't get home. It took them like 2 or 3 weeks before they could get home. I have no idea what those people did, if they were, you know, low income, fixed income, poor. I have no idea, you know, what they did for food or shelter. You know, because some of them, it's like, you know, they went to visit somebody, say, in Berlin or somewhere up north, and then they got stuck in southern New Hampshire or in Massachusetts.
Ready?
Hold on, what, hon?
He's going to be here by 10 tomorrow.
Okay. Anyway, so they weren't necessarily able to get back in touch with the people that they had been visiting with. And sometimes they were just too far away, and if you're, you know, it doesn't take that. Look, Keene and Troy, there's a 20-minute drive, okay? But in wintertime, there are times where you're not going out. You are not driving from Troy to Keene or Keene to Troy. It's not going to happen. You're not driving from Massachusetts to Troy, which is, you know, like 10-15 minutes, 5-10 minutes. That's how bad it gets. And look, the people up here who plow the state, the county, the towns, the cities, they do a great job at plowing. I mean, believe me. I remember one year in Texas, in San Antonio, the temperatures went like down to the mid-20s or something. They shut the freeways down. They shut all the roads down. I have been working with a guy who had been working and living in Alaska, and we were, you know, they were talking about it, and he said, "Yeah, I figured, you know, there ain't going to be nobody out driving, so I'm going to take me a nice leisurely drive out there." Cop pulled him over, looked at his driver's license, noticed it was Alaska, said, "Go home." And he did, but he took his time, he said. So, yeah, driving up here, I mean, our winter weather, even though you get snow in northern Texas, you don't get the snow that we get. You don't get it. Okay, you don't get that much snow, and it, you know, our temperatures may go to minus 20. I think the records are like minus 40. So, you know, and a lot, believe it or not, a lot of the winter clothing, like the heavy jackets and stuff that you'll buy in Texas, they won't do you no good up here. They just won't. I had a coat with a liner, and it was useless up here. I might as well have been going out naked. So, yeah, you have to think about how you're going to dress if you come up here in the wintertime. And our winters last a long time. Right now it's cool. Some would say cold. The nights are getting down in the 20s. The daytime temperatures are in the 40s and 50s. Nights are the 20s. Anyway, so there are a number of ways of doing this, Cat. Of course, you two could buy your own tickets, but I would rather buy either one or both of you a ticket. I mean, we are also on fixed incomes, so I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the price. I haven't looked at the price in a while. I like to just search stuff online, just random weird stuff, and sometimes it's pretty weird. But so I'll go to Greyhound from time to time, and I'll look at how much it costs to go from one place to another place. And I used to take Trailways back in the day. And back in the day, when you took the bus, it went to all these little itty-bitty towns and villages. And they just don't do that as much today, unless it's like between New York City and Chicago, and it's on a main road. They won't go off into the middle of nowhere like they used to. My granddaddy, my mom's dad, my granddaddy in North Carolina, he I don't remember where he was going from or to. Well, I know where he was going to. He was going home. And they lived in this little town. Actually, they lived outside of the town. The town has about 500 people. It's never had much more than that. I think in the 80s or 90s, when Texas Gulf Sulphur bought up a bunch of land down there, including my family's land, there were about 100 or 200 more people that moved in. The town we live in New Hampshire, is larger than that. It's larger than that. Considerably larger than that. But I think half the people in that town in North Carolina I'm related to. Anyway, so my granddaddy, he goes home. I think he may have taken the bus to Washington. I'm not sure it actually went to Aurora. I'm not sure. Oh, they lost his luggage. So a year later, I don't know if he got a phone call or a letter. I don't know when they got a phone. I don't think they got electricity or running water till my mom and uncle were in their teens or late teens. And believe it or not, yeah, that's how I'd like to live. I would just prefer to do it up here in New Hampshire. But yeah, like a year later, he gets a message saying, we found your luggage. So I think that's a little blurry. I don't know if it's any better or not. Anyway, sorry about the camera, folks. But my hair. But yeah, I'm still not supposed to be lifting more than 10 pounds, and I'm having to clean the basement. Anyway, so if you didn't hear Lisa earlier, she was saying we could not do this until after Christmas. And well, I was thinking maybe, like I said, there's a number of ways of doing this. I can just buy a ticket for one of you. I can buy one of you a ticket 1 month and the other one of you a ticket the next month, and then you could come up the month after that. So that's 3 months there. If you didn't hear Lisa, she said you probably wouldn't be able to come up here till April. It's a combination of things, and a lot of it right now is going to be the weather. Although right now we are paying off these bills. Once we get the car loan paid off, we should just be okay. Well, the car loan, we got an electric bill today. Is this it? What? What? And the electric bill was over $800. But we've been paying on it. It's not like we're not paying on it. We're paying more than what the monthly bill is. But last winter we had to use space heaters for most of the winter, and it just shot the electric bill up. And we've been paying it off, but slowly. Because, we both share the bill. She has some bills, I have some bills. Once we get the car loan paid off, we get the electric and internet bills at least well, I guess paid off, down to what they should be, then we should be fine. I really don't know how we're doing it right now, but we're making it somehow. Okay, as for a place to stay, there are hotels, although before you book a hotel you might want to look at reviews and talk to one or both of us, because there are places you probably don't want to stay. I'm thinking if you're here, the best places to stay would be in city center, on or near Main Street. There are places closer to us, but they'd probably be more expensive. Although the one place, I have to look it up, it's me and Carolyn used to go there and just pet the animals. Although they had this one nanny goat, and the baby wanted attention, and we'd walk up to the fence to give the kids some attention, and the nanny would nip at us, she'd snap at us, and she wasn't trying to bite us, but she was letting us know to leave her baby alone. And so we never really got to spend time with the baby. But they have donkeys and cows and goats, sheep, things like that. But they're kind of in town. I don't know what their actual address is, but anyway, but that would be too far for you to walk. But anyway, they have a lot of activities there. But otherwise, if you stayed in Keene, I don't know, you might enjoy that more. You might enjoy staying in Keene more. You could alright, so anyway, so if you're in Keene, you can go to the community kitchen. You can go to the stores and the restaurants and the movie Jumanji. I don't know if you've seen it, but the one with the original one was made in Keene, and you can see the town common, and they filmed at the town common. The barbershop, there's a sign for Paris shoes that's still up there. I don't remember the actor's name, but when he passed away, there was a big memorial out there. So you could see that, and just see the sights, I guess. But even if you come up here in April, you're going to want to dress warm, really warm. As for, you could stay in a tent. I don't know if you'd be comfortable that way. You could sleep in sleeping bags in the apartment. I don't know if you'd be comfortable though. If it was just me, then you two could have the bedroom, and I'd just sleep on the sofa. So I don't know. But another way you could get up here is we could get one of you a ticket, and the other one of you could buy your own ticket. You're probably going to have to. Now, this is what I would suggest before you leave. Get one of those book bags or backpacks they call them, even though to me that's a book bag. You might want to take a pair of those things that shade out your eyes, a neck pillow,
Oh. So he's got to look at it this way. You clean your house. Bill's not gone.
some things to read. It's kind of hard to write when you're on the bus though, because it's bouncing. Maybe a like a light travel blanket, and some food and drinks. I would definitely do the food and drink thing.
So maybe when the baby comes in,
Pop-Tarts, granola bars, breakfast bars, nutrition bars. Another thing I would do is I'd go to a place like Subway, and I would get a foot long. I wouldn't get anything like oil and vinegar, but mayonnaise would be okay. You don't want the bread to get soggy, but you're going to want to eat that the first or second day, so it doesn't go bad. Bags of chips. You can get those fruit drinks. You can get a lot of drinks in smaller containers, and you can get like the Nalgene bottles that I used when I used to go backpacking, and you could carry. Sometimes you could carry those on the outside of the pack. So, hey Maggie, come on. Yeah, so those are some things to think about. So, I don't know what to say on that. Let me see, I'm going to pause this and go back and look at the comments. Hold on. Hey, Miss Maggie, are you being interneted? Are you on the internet? Huh? That's Maggie. Okay, so prepping, canning, drying. Well, I can't talk to you face to face because Maggie's in the way. But yeah, we used to dry. We had a food dehydrator, but it didn't work very well, and it was kind of broken up, so we threw it away today. And since we're cleaning the basement now, I got to my bug out bag, but I got to my bug out bag. My bag is a
I'm not gonna say him, but you know what? It's kind of good to stop too. It's sort of what she used to do when he was little. I think there's a lot of it is.
My bug out bag is a Alice pack. Carolyn's was a external frame backpack, and yeah, definitely. I definitely need to get back to fixing that up because after Carolyn passed away, life was just really bad, and I haven't gone through it. I don't know what's in it. I don't know what needs to be replaced or added, what needs to be removed, what needs to be cleaned up or fixed. Now there's a little girl. That sucks. Yeah. Sucks likes good attention. See, my brother beats up on me. Yes, he does. I need to take Lucky out, so let's see if I can remember that I'm talking about prepping. Okay, I'm back. I took him out. Anyway, I'm hurting people. So, on the bug out thing, look, if this is for Susan and Kat, if you buy a book on bugging out, bug out bags, survival and all that kind of stuff, I don't even know where I have it right now. Is that it? No, that's not it. Anyway, I recently got Crick Stewart's non-con pack book, non-consumables. What a ripoff. What a ripoff. Do not get it, please. If you want to look at it, if you come here to visit, you can look at it. It has the subtitle says something about when coming back is not an option, and it teaches you skills and tells you the equipment you need when coming back is not an option. Well, that's a bunch of BS. It's about having saws and shovels, and I'm like, it's just a ripoff. Okay. You need to know more than that. I have a book that I have not read in years. And it's, I don't even remember the author's name. It's a book on U.S. history. He's an Englishman. I think he's passed away since then. But he mentions early on that there were lists that were made, that were published for early American colonists on what equipment, what supplies that they would need when they came over here. Because, I mean, you think about when these people came over. I mean, this is the early and mid-colonial period. They had nothing except what they could carry. And sometimes it was just an individual who didn't necessarily have much family. Other times entire families moved here. Other times one parent and one or more children. Sometimes two or more adults, no children. I mean, so, they had to really pay attention to what they brought with them. Plus, they probably had to pay to keep that stuff on board ship. And that space was replacing where they could have kept fresh food and water. Not fresh food, but stored food and water. Water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. That's the ocean for you. But I have to go and see if there are any footnotes to that part of the book, because I would like to know those things. Crick Stewart's books they're good. They are good books, but the non-compact, I think he's stretching. He's reaching for a reason to sell a book and make money. I don't particularly care for that. But anyway, Kat, here is a book. If you have not read this book, and Susan, both of you,
That's her brother, right?
I highly recommend this book. Highly recommend this book. There's another book, but I can't remember the name of it. It's a good adjunct to that book. It's called Prisoners of Our Thoughts. Prisoners of Our Thoughts. I also recommend Dr. Peterson's, which I haven't read, so maybe I shouldn't recommend it. Dr. Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. I also highly recommend watching Dr. Peterson's videos. Some of them are a bit lengthy. Dr. Peterson and why do I keep forgetting this guy's name? Anyway, these two guys, Dr. Peterson and the other guy who I happen to admire, sit down and have a debate. It's more like two friends having a discussion over something they disagree with, politely, kindly. I think the two guys were a little nervous because they didn't want to piss the other one off. And was it Dr. Weinstein? He's an evolutionary biologist. He used to teach, he and his wife used to teach at Evergreen State University, or Evergreen State College in Washington State, I believe. Oregon or Washington. I think it's Washington. The police chief, she resigned. The is it Weinstein? Why isn't it Weinstein? I don't know if he quit or if they fired him, but he left because there's a lot of racism and bigotry at that school. And I happened to watch a channel here on YouTube. I don't remember his name. A guy who actually used to go to that school, and he said, look, if you take the right classes, it's actually a good school. But it depends on the professors. It depends on a lot of things. I don't know what the school's like this semester. That school doesn't necessarily even work on semesters. You could take a year-long course there. You could be a freshman and take a year-long course. In trade school we had quarters. In college we had semesters. 3 months versus 4 months. And yeah, that extra month you can learn a lot. But anyway, so I'm prepping food. One thing I would suggest: get some pinto beans. You need a good blender for this. You just want to put like that much, maybe even that much pinto beans or whatever beans you want to use in the blender, and just blend them. And blend them and blend them. And then blend them some more. You want it powder, or as close to powder as you can get. This would be for survival, for camping, for backpacking, for primitive skills. You want to soak those in hot water. I don't know. I'd say at least 30 minutes before you use it, because I've read reviews online of people who've done this, and they say it's a little. Crunchy, dry, gritty. That's how people describe it, gritty. So yeah, I would soak it in enough water, not too much, but enough, so it's covered, and you can add a little more as you go on. Now I'd soak it for 30 minutes, an hour, in hot water, in boiling water, and then cook it, and do whatever, add whatever you're going to add to it. So that's some survival food. To be totally honest with you, I could take that bag of cornmeal that's right up there. In my hand, I could put some cornmeal, and I could put some water, and just mix it up, make a patty, throw it on the ashes on the fire. Right there, I have cornbread. You do the same with flour, whole wheat flour, all-purpose flour, self-rising flour. Probably could do it with rice flour, especially sticky rice flour. And there are all sorts of ways to cook over a fire. You take a flat board, you take your tomahawk, and you just, hopefully, depending on the type of wood, it might just kind of split and you have a flat surface, and you sit it sideways, and you put your food on it. Like if you have fish, you attach the fish to the board, and you put it sideways so the fire's over here, so the heat's getting to it. You can do that with bread too, especially cornbread. You know, you could cook it in a skillet, in a pan. You can cook it over a hot rock. Just don't use river stones, okay? Because if you use river stones, it's very possible that it'll go boom, because all that water inside that stone will start to expand and it will blow up. I've never been hurt by anything like that, but I've had it happen to me. But that's probably because, you know, they were smaller rocks that I used. Something else I would suggest is learning some self-defense.
Hey, listen, if you send me one, I can make you some.
Muay Thai would be a good thing to start with. Okinawan Karate would be a good thing to start with. American Kempo would be a good thing to start with. My Kempo instructor told the class, somebody asked him, how long will it take to become good at self-defense? And he said, with you know, coming to class, practicing outside of class, etc., at least 6 months. Another thing you could do is get the United States Marine Corps manual on, and you can actually get a PDF, free PDF of that, on the Marine Corps self-defense or Marine Corps martial arts program. Because that is designed to get you to be able to defend yourself in a fight fast. Because they have to be able to do it fast. I mean, they just have to. So that's where I would start. That's where I would start. But yeah, I'd start with the Marine Corps martial arts program, and from there I would expand out. I would not go with Taekwondo. I would not go with Wing Chun. I would not go with Tai Chi. I mean, there are a lot of Chinese martial arts I would not go with. You're going to have to know how to take a punch. I mean, this is a serious survival issue. You know, there are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There is the probability in a survival situation that you will have to be able to physically defend yourself. And frankly, in that kind of situation, you are going to have to be willing to do things you might not want to do. The eyes, you can use your fingers, take out someone's eyes, pull the lips, the ears, you know, put your fingers up their nose. I don't care how dirty their nose is, put your finger up their nose, start pulling on it and see how they like it. The throat, you know, there are all sorts of things you can do with the throat. Lucky. Whoa. Look at my boy. Oh, he's a dirty boy. He needs a bath. There you go. So another thing that I would suggest if you're in a survival situation is having a book or booklets with you, just a small number. And not necessarily survival manuals or, you know, wildlife manuals or edible plant manuals. I'm talking about something that you would just enjoy reading, especially something you would read more than once. For instance, Kat, you're a Christian. You might want a small Bible to take. You know, another book you might want to take with you is this. This would be a great book. It's small, lightweight, a good read, definitely an excellent read. I recommend this book. If you don't know, Dr. Frankl, I mean, this is a classic. I was watching a prison show once, And there was this young guy, pretty decent kid, and it's his first time in prison. He was going to be doing a stretch, and one of the guards said, "Yeah, I gave the kid a copy of Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning." So, Dr. Frankl survived the Holocaust. Dr. Frankl was a psychiatrist in Austria, same country Hitler was from. No, Hitler was not German, he was Austrian. She's talking about me and all my books. Anyway, I'm laughing about it.
Yeah, I was telling Patty how many books you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might want to send Kat our mailing address if she's asking for it.
Oh, I asked Craig who stole that one. He thinks it's Candy's. I said, well, it needs to be moved out the way.
So, he was a psychiatrist in Vienna, Austria. And he knew things were getting bad. He had received permission to come to the United States. That he said, you know what, I need to be here for my parents. So he stayed. He lost his parents. He lost all but one sibling. He lost his wife, his pregnant wife. But somehow he survived. I don't know how, but somehow he survived. And he developed logotherapy. He talked about in one of the concentration camps, they would have inspection every day, and he was working in the hospital at the time. Well, the hospital basically consisted of nothing. Okay, it was a cot in a room with filthy, dirty, unwashed linens. But the linens had to be put onto the cots properly. And a guard came in one day for inspection, and what do you call those? What do you call those nursing corners, hospital corners?
Oh my God, they had a name. I don't know, just corners. And you had to have them just right.
Yeah.
They came out with fitted sheets in hospital and nursing homes. I've been so happy in my life.
You what?
When they came out with fitted sheets.
Oh yeah.
I've been so happy in my life.
Oh, I didn't know they had those now.
Oh yeah, they've had fitted sheets for years now. I don't even think they use that at the time anymore.
Oh. Alright. I didn't know they had fitted sheets, folks, for hospital beds now. Back in the day, you had to make those corners. Let me tell you, those corners still come out. But anyway, in the hospital ward in the camp, because one bed didn't have the corners just right, everybody in there got a good beat down.
Where was this at?
In a concentration camp in Nazi Germany.
Oh, I thought you meant some of the places you stayed in.
Oh, well, they would do that too, huh? But isn't that weird that the place was filthy? Sheets were filthy, probably hadn't been washed in years. Clothes, if you even had them, were falling apart and filthy. Yet, you had to have proper hospital corners.
Let me tell you when I first started working the place.
Yeah.
We had this damn nurse, she thought she was a drill sergeant.
Oh.
I remember I was changing a bed in the room and I didn't know any better and I had laid the stuff on the floor.
Yeah.
You thought the world had come to an end.
Oh.
And she went around checking our damn corners on our bed and she didn't stay that long, they fired her.
Wow.
She was mean. She scared the shit out of me.
Wasn't my mother, was it?
No, thank you. This was in Virginia, babe.
Well, she went to nursing school in Virginia at first.
Yeah, well, I think it was your mom.
Anyway, people, sorry about that. I don't know if you heard her.
Virginia?
What?
Is she working any place in Virginia?
Probably. I don't know which one. As it was in Norfolk where she first went.
Down in Warsaw.
Anyway, people, so another thing I would suggest for survival is a knife like this. because you see that right there? Oops, wrong side. You see that right there? That's for a lanyard. This right here. That's for a lanyard, but you can knock a window out with that. That right there, that's a seatbelt cutter. There's a blade in there. And now, and you can actually, no, I can't do,
I actually just realized something.
What?
I think it's more books down in that basement than anything you got down there.
Maybe. It locks. Yeah.
Frank said, this is what he said. I'm going to tell you in a minute what he said, okay?
Well, let me finish making this.
Okay.
If this had a saw blade back here, this would be almost a perfect knife. So, another thing I suggest, and you don't have to have one this big, but nail clippers, they're great for, of course, cleaning your nails, clipping your nails, but cutting your fish line, that's what I use mine for. Do I have one on here? Yeah. Always have several of these. These are handcuff keys. If you do it right and you're handcuffed behind you, like you have it in your waistband, you can get it out and unhandcuff yourself. It may mean the difference between life and death. I don't know if this is a P38 or a P51. I think it's a P51 because it's bigger. This is a can opener. While we were cleaning the basement today, we found another one. The blade just folds down. Because if you're in a survival situation, you're going out there, somebody takes you hostage, or if things get bad in this country, like I fear they're going to, you can escape. And this, in a survival situation, you're running around, you're going to get food wherever you can get it, right? So you find canned food, this is going to get you into the can of food. Another thing you can do for canned food, take the can, get a brick, and just scrape it against the brick. Really, you have to really do it hard, and eventually that lid will come off. So another thing, cat, both of you need to get one of these. I couldn't talk to you, though if I did this right, I could. Because I can hook this up to an antenna, a dipole antenna, and get way better reception. But you two need to get this as a ham radio my wife got for me. It doesn't have the range of, say, this thing over here. But this is a Galaxy GT550. And but they don't make radios like Galaxies anymore. This is an old tube radio, but the tube radio is what you want. Okay, you want a tube radio. Why? Because if there's an EMP, electromagnetic pulse, which was used by the United States in Iraq during the initial stages, even though I don't think the government ever admitted to it, all you have to do, you may have some wires or something you need to replace in there, but there's a good possibility that the only thing that's going to get fried are the tubes. And so all you have to do is replace the tubes, which means, of course, you have to buy tubes. You have to buy the right ones, but I don't know if anybody anywhere in the world still makes tubes. I remember back in the day, for a TV, for a radio, for anything, it had tubes in it. And it seems like we almost went from everything with tubes overnight to nothing has tubes anymore. So I don't know. I've heard this. I don't know. Supposedly the Russians still use tube radios, even in their fighter planes. And the reason for that is, like I said, if there's an EMP and the airplane has to land because it's probably going to lose its electrical abilities. If they're able to land and the radio's fried, all they have to do is go in there, take the old tubes out, put new tubes in, and supposedly you're good to go. So I would recommend one of these, especially, and get the longer antenna. I think this is a 17-inch antenna. Gets way better reception than the factory installed antenna. And this would be good for shorter range, short and mid-range communication. And where you live is a lot flatter than where we are, so you'll get a lot better reception and transmission than what we would get. If we could put an antenna higher up, like on a mountain, even on the side of a mountain, not just the top, but on the side of a mountain. I mean, if I took this up to Mount Monadnock, which is right behind us, I could probably pick up things from all over the world. But, which would be a cool, maybe next year we can go up to Mount Monadnock with the radio, we only have one, and see what happens. So you would have to get your license to broadcast, but in an emergency, if it's a real emergency, it's not one of these people calling 911 saying, I don't have any aspirin, or I have a cold, what do I do? I'm not talking, those aren't emergencies. The emergency center at University Hospital in San Antonio, at night, I don't know why it was always at night, but at night, people would show up, they'd have the sniffles, or, something minor, but they go to the emergency center to take care of it. That's not what it's for. Emergency is when you're dying, or like this lady once walked into the main entrance to that hospital. I was down in the emergency center in the lobby. All of a sudden a bunch of folks took off running. I'm like, oh no, something bad's happened. And I asked somebody, and a lady just walked into the main entrance and she had her baby right there. So that's an emergency. If you get shot or stabbed or you're kidnapped, those are emergencies. I have a cough or a sniffle. Those are not emergencies. So another thing, another survival thing. Believe it or not, it's hard to find good ones nowadays. This is an address book. It's kind of dirty, but I wish there was more space to write than there is. See, there's not really a lot of space, but you should keep something like this with you because you're going to want addresses. Phone numbers may or may not be of any use. Email may or may not be of any use. But you can put their call signs, their ham radio call signs down, their addresses, their emergency address in that kind of situation. Again, phone and internet will probably be down or unsafe to use depending on what type of situation we have. So just talking on the phone, maybe. See, if I call somebody right now on the phone, there's a record. There is a record of that phone call. So if you call somebody, there's going to be a record of that call. You call from a payphone. I mean, and the way we have cameras everywhere today. You may think phoning from a payphone is safe. It's not. Because there is probably going to be a camera somewhere, even if you don't see it, that's going to take a picture of you. Even if not at the payphone. It could be 5 blocks away, but they got a picture. They're going to look at everybody that they can. I mean, if it takes them 5 days to find you in 1,000 people from that video footage, they're going to do it, depending on the situation. You know, they can record every call you make. Every text message you send is recorded somewhere. So, you know, and if you've escaped and they're looking for you and you call a friend or a family member, that's a bad idea. So you want alternate contact information, and you need to look into ways of like dead drops and ways of communicating with people. But having a little booklet, even if you just take pages out of it, and keep a few blank pages with you, because you're probably going to, depending on the situation, depending on how long it is, you know, you keep a list of people you've met that you want to, hey, look, there's Misty. Misty, say hi. Why don't you look in the camera? You looking out the window, you're looking at the screen. Say, I'm 8 months old. Yeah, there you go. But I still don't have a tail.
You never have a tail.
No.
Huh?
No, she won't. So, okay, Kat. I asked Lisa to send you our mailing address, so hopefully you'll get that in the next day or two. Oh, another thing I would suggest is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Arnis, Kali, Eskrima, any of those three, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and either karate or Muay Thai. But I would start, because you could kind of get all three of those things: the stand-up empty hand, the weapons, and ground fighting in the Marine Corps martial arts program. So that's where I would start, and then expand beyond that. And if you're pre-diabetic, getting some exercise will definitely help you. And martial arts can be very physically demanding. Hey, Misty. Oh, you want the? She loves the side of her face rubbed. But martial arts, you can really get a good workout with that. Just getting out and walking, you know, if nothing else. We were both doing that for a while, but now wintertime's coming too. So, but I couldn't do it right after the surgery, and I'm still not supposed to be lifting more than 10 pounds. But you want to come back up, Misty? Oh, there you go. You just don't want to be on the camera, huh? Say, when I was just a baby, I could walk on Daddy's keyboard and it wouldn't even punch the keys down. And me and my brother John, when we were itty bitty babies, we could fit in the palm of Daddy's hand. His hand was bigger than we were. Yeah. Kat, do you want this? It was Mama's. I'll send it to you if you want it. Oh, somebody's purring. Anyway, so another nice thing to have would be a sheet of paper with weights, measurements, equivalents, and that kind of thing. And a notepad. Keep a little notepad. But have oil lamps. You don't have to use them, but just at least have 2 or 3 to get you started. But you're going to need plenty of oil and wicks, because those 2 things, once you start using them, they can go pretty fast. So let me pause this and go and see if there's anything else I need to say. Whoops, it started again. Another thing that, because Susan, you were talking about my cooking videos. Okay, I'm not going to show you the food right now, but last night I made beans and cornbread. I don't remember the name of the mix because it's a mix that we bought at the dollar store. I didn't like it a whole lot. Now I used a muffin pan.
You made that for a dollar store last night?
I thought that's what it was from.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought you did that the other day.
Oh, well, see, I thought I got it from Helping Hands. Thought that's where it came from, but I don't know.
Last night I thought you made it homemade.
No. Wait, did I? Oh yeah, I made it homemade. I'm sorry, people. I made last night's cornbread homemade. Jeez, but I didn't like the recipe. I thought it was kind of tough. I don't like what?
It was kind of dry.
Yeah, I don't like that in my cornbread. It called for 2 eggs. Maybe 1 egg would have been better. And the reason I put it in a muffin pan is this: I wanted jalapeno cheese cornbread. My wife didn't want that, so this is great for you, Kat, because if one of you, I don't know which one of you cooks or if you both cook, if you're making something and say one of you likes something one way and the other one likes it another way, put it in a muffin pan. And like all I did was I took like 5 or 6 jalapenos, sliced jalapenos, slices of jalapenos, and a pinch of cheese, a good pinch of cheese, and I put that in 6 of the things, and then I took a fork and kind of stirred it a little bit just to get it mixed up, and it tasted okay to me. See, I buy big jars, like gallon or more jars of jalapenos, and it lasts me 2 or 3 months. I buy 25 pound bags of beans, pinto beans. I would buy kidney beans, but they're expensive. For a cheap bag, 25 pound bag of cheap kidney beans, also known as red beans, is $100. $100. And frankly, there are some things that are far better with kidney beans than with other beans. But I just cannot afford to spend $100 on a bag of beans. And I'm afraid that one day it's going to get that bad. And that's one reason I like to buy larger bags of flour, rice, beans. Right there, flour, rice, and beans. You have a filling meal and a nutritious meal of that. I would definitely add something green, some green vegetables. You definitely need green vegetables. And yeah, Kat, we used to dry. There are still some things around that are dried, actually. I can't. I don't. I think we have something up on top. I can't turn my head, so. But I dried some chili peppers. But when we were going through the basement tonight, I found this video's over an hour long, people. Well, you know it, but I just realized it. I found the food dehydrator. It's something we got in a free pile, and it didn't have any instructions with it or anything, and some of the trays were broken, so I just threw it away. They have these food dehydrators that you can hang outside, and they're netted all around, top and bottom, and all the sides. And I don't know if it's snaps, buttons, zipper, Velcro, or what that closes it, but they have netted shelves, and you just put whatever you're going to dry on those shelves and hang it outside. And Kat, for you in Texas, oh boy, those things would dry fast, especially in summer. Maybe a day or 2 or 3. Up here, it might take us 2 or 3 weeks, except even in the hottest part of summer, because it's very humid here. I don't know what the humidity is like in the DFW area. San Antonio is 30-35% on average. Houston was 99 to 100%. That's humid. Galveston and Corpus, even though they had high humidity, it wasn't so bad because you had that constant breeze coming off the ocean or the Gulf. I've never been able to differentiate between GOLF and GULF. I seem to pronounce both the same way, and I don't intend to do that. I try to pronounce them differently, but I've been told all my life that I'm pronouncing it wrong, and I try to pronounce it correctly, but to me they sound alike, so I tend to pronounce things the way I hear them because I have no hearing in my right ear, and I have minor to moderate loss in my left ear. And my mother told me the first time she noticed it, we were on Okinawa, and I was across the street on the playground, and she was hollering at me to come in. It was dinner time, and I remember her calling me, but I could not tell direction. You know, I'm looking everywhere. I'm looking everywhere but where I should have been looking, and because I heard my mom calling me, and she was calling me in for dinner. I think she had to come across the street to get me because I couldn't tell where the sound was coming from. I still can't tell direction sound by sound. And then in my early teens, late preteens, early teens, is when I got my first hearing aid. The state of Texas paid for that. I remember I was in HIH, Houston International Hospital, adolescent unit. That's when I got it. And I walked out of the elevator onto the floor, and one of the nurses said something to me. Like, oh, poor boy. But it's really pissed me off. I'm like, just because I have a hearing aid doesn't mean I'm disabled. It just means I have a hearing aid, so what? Geez, sometimes I have to wear a diaper. It doesn't mean I'm a baby. It just means I have urinary issues. So, you know, that really hurt me, what she said. I don't remember what it was exactly, but it was condescending, and I didn't appreciate it. Back then, you put one over each. These were new at the time. This kind of hearing aid was brand new at the time, so I'm sure they were really expensive. And they were kind of big. They were a lot bigger than they are now. And you put one behind each ear, and one would go into my ear. I mean, it would have a thing on it to go into the ear, and then it had a wire that went from each one behind. I would go to comb my hair, and I would, ooh, that hurt. I would go to comb my hair, and I'd be pulling on the wire. So, anyway, it lasted for a long time, though. I had it for years and years. And then, in the mid-90s, my aunties up in Canada, they noticed that I was like, what? So they paid for a hearing aid for me, $2,000. A hearing aid. Hearing aids are expensive. $2,000 for that freaking hearing aid. But I don't have one anymore. And I lost both of those. I kept both of them for years, and I lost them in the fire of '09. That fire was actually on the national news. But anyway, but I don't know what else to say. I mean, if I haven't mentioned something, or if I need to say something, see that it keeps getting blurry. Anyway, so I'm hungry. She's hungry. We're both hungry. We both need to eat. I'm almost out of one of my medicines, and I'm not going to be able to get it till next month, which is going to kill me. I don't know what I'm going to do. What?
What are you running out of?
My Seroquel?
Oh, God, no.
And I won't be able to sleep.
How much you got left?
I have to look on it. Probably just 2 or 3 pills. But I break them in half, folks, so...
How much is your medicine?
I don't know, $2 or $3. But anyway, so you know what would be a really nice Christmas present? Somebody paid our bills for it, got us out of debt, and then we could just, then we'd be okay. No, I don't know if we'd be okay, but we'd be far better off than we are now. But nobody's going to pay off our debts. We owe too much money. Over $800 for the electric. I don't know how much more we have to pay on the car, and we still have the words in my head and I can't get it out. The principal, we have to still pay the principal. And we're still paying $170 something to $200 a month. I try to pay more. What?
You don't pay like the house and stuff, you can be paying the full price.
I know, I know. The car loan, the electric, and the internet. I really want this flintlock rifle for Christmas. My idea to get it would be, I would pay $208, and then my wife could pay like $200, and then I'd have my rifle. I've given up on putting this one together that I have. It's just not happening. If my uncle was here, if my uncle was up here, he could show me how to do it. I'd want to do it, but I want him to teach me how to do it, and that's one reason I'd really like to spend a few weeks down there, and he could really show me how to properly use and take care of tools. And
hey, Charlie Brown's pumpkin, Charlie Brown's pumpkin's on.
Oh no, the Great Pumpkin. Oh, folks, I have to go because that's the greatest show in the world, the Great Pumpkin. Bye bye.